Sophie clutched her worn-out travel bag, trying to calm her daughter who was fussy after a long day. The airport buzzed with hurried footsteps and loud announcements, but all she could think about was making it home before her next shift. Life as a single mom had taught her resilience, but not rest. While searching for her boarding gate, a familiar laugh drifted through the crowd. She froze. That laugh. It couldn't be. Slowly turning, her eyes widened. Standing just a few feet away was Daniel Reed. Her first love. The boy who once dreamed of changing the world. The boy who promised he'd come back for her, but never did. Daniel looked different now, older, confident, dressed in a tailored suit. He was surrounded by assistants and security, his name flashing on a sleek business tablet someone carried. CEO of Reed Tech. Sophie's heart sank. He hadn't seen her, yet. She looked down at her daughter, then at her worn sneakers, suddenly aware of the years between them. Part of her wanted to turn and disappear into the crowd. But fate had other plans. As she dropped her daughter's toy, it rolled across the polished floor, straight to Daniel's feet. He bent down, picked it up, and their eyes met for the first time in 10 years. And just like that, time stood still. For a heartbeat, neither of them spoke. The noise of the airport faded into silence as Daniel's eyes softened in disbelief. "Sophie," he breathed, his voice low, almost hesitant. She managed a small nod, clutching her daughter's hand. "Hi, Daniel. It's been a while." He smiled, the same warm, crooked smile she used to love, though now tinged with something deeper. 10 years, maybe more, he said. "And you?" He looked down at the little girl hiding behind her mother's leg. "You're a mom." Sophie nodded, pride and exhaustion flickering in her eyes. "This is Lily. She's 6. My whole world." Daniel knelt to greet the child, his expensive watch glinting under the bright terminal lights. "Hi, Lily. That's a beautiful name." Lily smiled shyly. "Mom says names mean something special." He looked up at Sophie. "She's right." They moved to a nearby bench, awkward but curious. Daniel shared how he'd built his tech company from scratch after moving abroad. "It wasn't easy," he said, "but I had a lot to prove." Sophie smiled faintly. "You always did." When he asked about her, she shrugged. "Life took turns I didn't expect. I work 2 jobs now, just trying to keep up." Daniel's chest tightened. The woman who once dreamed of art galleries and travel now looked tired but strong, still carrying quiet grace. An announcement called for Daniel's flight. He hesitated, glancing at her once more. "Maybe fate's giving me a second chance to fix what I broke." Sophie blinked, unsure what he meant, but before she could respond, he pressed his business card into her hand. "I'm not letting 10 years pass again," he said softly. "Not this time." The next few days were a blur. Sophie tucked Daniel's card into her purse but couldn't bring herself to call. Why would a man like him, a millionaire CEO, want to talk to someone like her now? At night, when Lily was asleep, Sophie stared at the ceiling of their tiny apartment. The leaking roof, the unpaid bills, the cold creeping through the thin walls, it all reminded her that life wasn't fair, but it was hers. Then, one evening, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hello? Sophie, it's Daniel." His voice was gentle, almost unsure. "I've been thinking about you, about that day. Would you meet me for coffee?" She hesitated, glancing at the pile of laundry beside her. "Daniel, I don't think." "Please," he interrupted softly. "It's just coffee." Against her better judgment, she agreed. They met at a quiet cafe downtown. Daniel was already there, dressed simply this time, no suit, no entourage, just him. When Sophie walked in wearing her faded jeans and worn sweater, he stood and smiled as if she were the only person in the world. Over coffee, they talked about old dreams, lost time, and the weight of growing up. Daniel listened more than he spoke. He didn't pity her, he admired her strength. When she mentioned struggling with daycare fees, he didn't offer money, he offered an opportunity. "I run a foundation," he said. "We help single parents train for new careers. No charity, just a fresh start." Sophie looked at him, speechless. Her pride wanted to refuse, but her heart whispered otherwise. Maybe, just maybe, kindness wasn't pity. Maybe it was love, returning in a different form. 3 weeks later, Sophie walked into a bright office building with trembling hands. It was the start of her training program, the one Daniel had told her about. Everything felt surreal. For the first time in years, she wasn't walking into a shift out of survival, she was walking into a future built on hope. She didn't see Daniel there, but somehow, his presence lingered, in the supportive mentors, the flexible schedule that allowed her to care for Lily, even in the free lunch vouchers tucked into her welcome folder. She knew he had a hand in all of it, though he never said a word. Days turned into weeks. Sophie discovered a strength she'd almost forgotten she had. She learned digital design, presented her first project, and watched Lily beam when she said, "Mommy's going to an office now." Then one afternoon, Daniel appeared at the center. He wasn't there as a CEO, he was there to listen. He stood at the back, watching Sophie lead a presentation on empowering single parents through creativity. She spoke with confidence, grace, and quiet fire. When the session ended, he approached her. "You've changed everything here," he said softly. "You've changed me." She laughed nervously. "I didn't do anything special." "Yes, you did," he replied. "You reminded me that success means nothing if you can't use it to lift someone else." For a moment, the air between them held something unspoken, a blend of gratitude, longing, and old love rediscovered in new light. That night, Sophie walked home under the city lights, holding Lily's hand. For the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel heavy. It felt possible. Winter had painted the city white when Sophie received an invitation, Reed Foundation Annual Gala. Her first instinct was to decline, but her mentor insisted. "You're our success story, Sophie. People need to hear you." That evening, she stood in front of her small mirror, wearing a simple navy dress borrowed from a friend. For once, she felt proud. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers and polished shoes, but when Daniel saw her walk in, the noise faded. He greeted her with a quiet smile, not as the CEO everyone admired, but as the man who once held her hand under the stars. After her short speech about hope and second chances, applause filled the hall. Daniel stepped onto the stage, his gaze steady on her. "There's someone here tonight who reminds me what success truly means," he said, his voice carrying warmth. "She taught me that love and kindness aren't weaknesses, they're strength." The crowd turned to Sophie, who felt tears welling up. Afterward, Daniel found her by the exit, away from the noise. "Sophie, I spent years chasing everything, money, power, recognition. But it all meant nothing without someone to share it with." She looked at him, heart pounding. "Daniel." He reached for her hand. "I don't want to change your life, I just want to be in it." For a long moment, she said nothing. Then Lily ran up, laughing, tugging at Daniel's sleeve. "Mommy, he's funny. Can he come to breakfast tomorrow?" Sophie smiled through her tears. "Maybe he can." Daniel's answering smile was soft, hopeful. In that moment, amidst glitter and chaos, two old hearts found home again.